anyone can build a dashboard. Drop in a few charts, add some slicer, throw in a KPI card or tools. It works, technically. But a dashboard that works isn't the same as a dashboard that leaves impact. Most dashboards get overlooked and then get forgotten because they're built like reports, meant to be read but not experienced. In this video, we're flipping the script. I'm going to show you how to design the dashboard that feels clean, intuitive, and effortless to use. Even if you're just working with Excel and PowerPoint, no fancy tool, no expensive software, just practical design tips and tricks that make your dashboard go from meh to memorable. Hello everyone, my name is Lynn. I'm a senior data analyst with real-world experience in banking and logistics industry. Welcome to my channel where I break down complex analytic concepts into simple, actionable steps so you can build dashboards, automate reports, and turn numbers into insight that drive real-world business decisions. If you're serious about growing your data skills and get ahead of the curve, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You're in the right place. Welcome to our end-to-end data analytic project. In this series, we're helping Excel property, a fast-growing property chain, make sense of their messy, unstructured timesheet data. Throughout the series, we'll walk through the entire data analytic journey, starting by transforming raw data into a well-designed data model in order to analyze and draw insight. Now, we've reached the final stage, visualize our findings through graphs and charts. In the previous episodes, we'll build individual graphs and charts to highlight key insights. Next, we'll use storyboarding techniques to bring all the visuals together into a structured dashboard, guided by a clear narrative. Then, to improve user experience, we start applying dashboard design techniques, color and tone, to visually segment our dashboard layout and direct attention to what matters most. And today, we'll move into the next stage of dashboard design. We'll explore how to improve visual aesthetic to make your dashboard go from good to great. We will start by designing our own custom background from scratch using just PowerPoint. You will learn how to estimate your dashboard size so that the background fits perfectly. We will also create a simple but effective design motif and apply a clean color theme. And finally, we will import your design back to Excel, bringing your dashboard to life. And as a bonus, we will explore a more advanced way to add seamless interactivity to your dashboard. Simply use Slicer, giving users the ability to drill down and explore each section of the dashboard dynamically. Finally, we will wrap up with few finishing touches, like adding icons to enhance the readability and visual appeal. To make the most out of today's videos, you can start by downloading the data file with the link in the description box. I've also added a chapter marker to help you navigate throughout the videos easily. Go at your own pace, pause, rewind, rewatch, whatever helps you to learn best. And if you missed any of the previous episodes, you can find the link right here so you can catch up. Ready to design dashboard that leave impact? Let's dive into it. Before we start designing our dashboard background in PowerPoint, there's one important thing that we need to do. We need to measure the size of our Excel dashboard. Why is this matter? Because if the background we design doesn't match with the actual size of the Excel layout, everything will look misaligned and the visual won't sit where they're supposed to be. So, in this step, we're going to estimate the size of our dashboard and use that to create a PowerPoint canvas that fits perfectly with our Excel layout. Open a blank PowerPoint file. In Home, Layout, convert the first slide to the blank slides. Now go to Insert, Shapes, choose the rectangular shape. I'm gonna drag and draw the rectangular shape so it's covered the entire slide. This will give us a rough visual boundary of the size of the PowerPoint canvas. Alright, now remove the fill and increase the border thickness so we can see it clearly. Now that we have our reference frame, let's see how our dashboard will fit in it. Select the rectangle, press Ctrl X to cut it. Now, back in our Excel dashboard, select cell A1 and press Ctrl V to paste the shape. You'll notice that the PowerPoint rectangle is much smaller than our Excel layout. So we need to resize it to match with the full width of our dashboard. And here's the trick. Go to the bottom right of the shape. Hover over the corner until you see the double-sided arrow. Now on your keyboard, hold Ctrl-Shift to keep the proportion of the shape locked. Now drag the shape outward until you see the rectangle cover the entire dashboard area. Now if you scroll down to the edge of the shape, you see that it ends right here. So now we know exactly how our dashboard will be displayed in the PowerPoint canvas. Alright, let's take a copy of this content. So select the area inside the rectangle. Press Ctrl C to copy. Now go back to PowerPoint, right-click on the slide, and paste this as the picture. This will create a reference image of your dashboard that you can build around. Now resize the picture so the reference frame fits with the side of the canvas. This way, when we design our background motif, we know exactly where things should go. Now let's fade out the dashboard image so it doesn't get in the way when we design our background. Select the image. Now go to Picture Format. In Transparency, set the transparency level to 80%. This will give us a soft background to work with. Now that we've measured and captured our dashboard layout, it's time to start designing our background visual. I'm gonna add a new blank slide and we'll do our design here. Go to Insert, Shapes. I'm gonna go with the rectangle, but feel free to go with any shape that you like. Now hold Ctrl-Shift on your keyboard. This shortcut will lock both the height and the width as you drag and draw the shape. As a result, we'll see a perfect square shape. Alright, let's format this. Change the fill color to a neutral gray tone. Remove the outline and set the transparency to 90%. This will keep the shape visible but subtle enough not to overpower your charts. Hold Ctrl-Shift on your keyboard. This shortcut will lock the rotation of the shape 15 degrees each. Now rotate the shape counterclockwise 45 degrees. Click Ctrl D to duplicate the shapes. Position the duplicated shapes however you like to create a new motif as a collection of multiple single shapes, and resize them if needed. This is my design, but do feel free to get creative and come up with your own design that fits with your dashboard. Once you've finished, select all the shape and click Ctrl G to group all the shapes as one object. And now we have a custom designed motif ready to be reused across the dashboard. Alright, it's time to bring the design to the dashboard. Quickly copy and paste all the objects in this slide to the slide with the dashboard image. Because we can see the layout of our dashboard, it is much easier to arrange, resize, or rotate the new design motif so that they complement with the dashboard layout. This creative layout will add an extra touch to your dashboard and elevate the user experience. Let's quickly duplicate this slide to keep a backup of the dashboard image for reference later. Now go back to the original slide and delete the image. This will leave us a clean background and we can easily align all the designed elements precisely. Right now, we have a nice and clean structure, but it is missing color elements. So let's elevate the mood of the whole canvas with a touch of color. First, we want to make sure that we're using the same color tone as we're used in Excel. So go to Design, in Color, choose the blue-green theme, which is the same color palette as we're using in Excel. Alright, let's add some color to our background. Click on Format Background. In Fill, choose Gradient Fill. I want to have a touch of color at both vertical edges of the canvas. So I'm gonna set the angle to 0 degree so the gradient flow vertically. Now in gradient stops, I want to have 4 stops representing 4 different points of color transition. I'm gonna need the first stop and the last stop to be at the opposite edges. And I'm gonna change the color to this light blue-gray color for both stops. Now set the white color for the 2 middle stops to create a clean background for the middle sections of the dashboard. Set the positions of the gradient stop to 10% and 95% respectively. If you would like to add some flavors, feel free to change the color of your design motif. Just remember that you have to ungroup the shapes first so that you can change the format of each shape. Once done, you can regroup them again. Now let's add back the dashboard image to check if everything is in line. And everything looks pretty good. I'm going to quickly remove the image again so we have a clean dashboard background. Alright, now that we've created a clean, structured background in the PowerPoint, which fits perfectly with our dashboard, it's time to bring that design into Excel and use it as a background for our dashboard. Let's start by exporting the background from PowerPoint. Go to File, Save a Copy. Now select the location where you want to save your file. For the name, I'm gonna call it background. Now for the file type, we're not saving it as the PowerPoint file, but we're going to save it as a picture. Now click Save. You'll get a pop-up asking which slide you want to export. I'm gonna select just this one. Perfect. Now we have our custom background saved in a high-resolution image. Let's go ahead and set this as a background for our dashboard. Back in Excel, go to Page Layout, Insert Background. Browse and select the image file that you just saved. And we have the image inserted as a background of our dashboard. But you probably noticed that the image doesn't quite fit. It is rather small compared to our dashboard. So let me show you another trick. We need to resize the image so that it fits with the size of our dashboard. So go back to the folder where you saved the image. Now open the image with Photos. Click on the 3 dots and choose Resize Image. In the Resize window, from here, you have a couple of options. You can resize by pixel or by percentage. You will also see a preview of the current and new dimension in pixel. and also the estimated size of the file once you resize the image. You probably have to try a couple of times to get the size right. In this case, increase size to 140% is the best fit. So I'm gonna go ahead with it. Now click Save and choose where you want to save the file. I'm gonna directly overwrite the existing file. So I'm gonna save it in the exact same location with the exact same name. Click Yes to replace the file. Now go back to Excel and reinsert the background. First, we're gonna need to remove the old background. And now again, insert the newly resized image. And as you can see, it's now fit perfectly. Previously, we've used Excel's group functionality to collapse or expand the groups of rows, allowing users to interact with the content of the dashboard dynamically. Though it works, but let's be honest, it's not user-friendly and not intuitive at all. Let me show you another trick that will take your dynamic dashboard from good to great. Simply use table and slicers. To ease the work, I'm going to quickly take a snapshot of the section title area on the left. This is where freeze panels come in handy. It will help you to lock the specific rows or columns so they stay visible while you scroll through the sheet. Select the cell where you want to freeze the worksheet. Now go to View, Freeze Panels, and choose Freeze Panels. Now you'll see a cross line appear. This shows exactly where the worksheet is frozen. So now if I scroll all the way to the right, the area on the left, which contains the section title, stay always in view, which makes it a lot easier to keep track of which section we're working on. All right, let's think about what we want as a content of our table. There are two main sections. We want to see the split between the overview and performance. So select from row 5 to 20. Now type the word overview and hit Ctrl Enter. Do the same for the performance. This time we'll select rows 21 to 78. Now within the performance section, we want to see the split between absent and working. And for absent, we have two subsections, that is holiday and sickness. Again, for working section, we have two subsections, compliance and overtime. All right, now let's turn these lists into a proper table. So select a cell within the range, click Ctrl T, tick My table has a header. Now hit OK. Do the same for the second control table. Quickly change the table style to black. Also group the columns for easy testing later on. Now rename the first table to Table Control Overview and the second one as Table Control Detail. Alright, now here is where the magic happens. I'm gonna insert the slicer from this table. Select the table, go to Insert, Insert Slicer. Now select the column you want to insert as a slicer. Do the same for the second table. Quickly move this slicer to the headers area. Now to format all the slicers in one go, we're gonna first select all the slicer. Now right-click and select Slicer Setting. Turn off the display header and tick the Hide items with no data. Now go to the ribbon slicer. In button, increase number of columns to 2. Now adjust the height and the width of the button. In size, adjust the height of the entire slicer. Quickly move the overview section slicers over here. Now for the detail slicer, we're gonna format it a little bit different. We're gonna increase the width to 12 centimeters and the number of button column to 4 columns. This will allow all options to be visible in a single line. Now in slicer setting, we actually want to see all the items, so untick the hidden items with no data. Alright, now quickly arrange and align all the slicers. Let's test this out. Select the overview from the slicer. We see only the overview sections appears. The same happens when we select performance. We can even narrow it down to the working section or absent sections, or even each individual subsections, or even cross subsection. Amazing, right? And the great thing about this is very intuitive and easy to use. Now, if you noticed, by default, Excel sorts the slicer items alphabetically, either ascending or descending order. And that's not what we want. We want to sort it by the performance type, just like the order we've defined in our storyboard. So let me show you another trick. Go to File, Option, Advanced. Now scroll down all the way to General, click Edit Custom Lists. In the List entry box, you can type your list of items in the desired order, or you can simply import the list directly from an Excel worksheet. If you choose to import, make sure that the list of items is hard-coded. And we have our custom predefined list created. Now hit OK and head back to Excel. The custom list is not yet activated. We need to go to the slicer setting and choose a different sort order compared to the previous sort order. In this case, I will choose sort ascending, and also make sure to have the sort by list options activated. Now hit OK. And we have our slicer sorted in the order as we want it. Alright, final touch. Let's also make these control slicer blend into the background. Select the slicer. In slicer style, duplicate a style. I'm gonna name this slicer header. Now go ahead and format the slicer components to make the selected item contrast and stand out from the background. On the other hand, no data items and unselected items should be formatted to blend in the background. Alright, now hit OK when you've done the formatting. And change the slicer styles for all the header slicer. Perfect. Let's test this out. You can see the selected versus unselected item clearly displayed. Now that our dashboard is functioning exactly as intended, let's go ahead and do a final cleanup to get it ready for presentation. First, remove any existing columns grouping using the shortcut Shift Alternate and arrow to the left. We no longer need to display the control tables, so let's hide them completely from the view, because we do not want the user to mess with our backend data setup. Now, let's restrict the visible area to keep the viewers focused on the dashboard. Select the last column, that is AM column. Press Ctrl-Shift arrow to the right to highlight all the columns to the right. Right mouse clicks and choose Hide. We also don't need the freeze panels anymore, so let's return it to normal view. Go to View, Unfreeze Panels, and it's gone. Since we're using slicer to control the section's interactivities, we no longer need the row grouping anymore. So let's remove them. Simply select the rows and use the shortcut Shift Alternate and arrow to the left. Now go all the way down to the last visual. Select row 81. Press Ctrl Shift arrow down to select all the rows below. Right mouse clicks and choose Hide. Now the dashboard is clean and always stay in focus. This is exactly what we want for the end user to see. Next, let's quickly add a visual separator between the absent and the working section for better clarity. Select the working section. Press Ctrl 1 to open the Format Cell dialog. Go to Border, choose a thick line and set the color to white. Hit OK, and now you can see clearly the segregation between the two sections. Alright, next. To make the dashboard even more user-friendly, let's add icons next to the key matrix. Go to Insert, Icon. Now choose the icon that clearly represents each KPI. And hit Insert. Once all the icons are inserted, resize them and change the color to the light tone from the color palette. And position the icons next to the corresponding charts and align them properly. An important note here is that make sure each icon is set to move and side with cell, so that when the sections are collapsed or expand, the icon will follow along seamlessly. These small additions make a big difference. They enhance readability and help users to interpret keys visual as a glance. Alright, time for some final cosmetic adjustments. We're gonna need to align all the visual and icons. Also, double check the layout for consistency. Alright, let's test the slicer interaction. As you can see, all visuals are filtered as expected. Now, let's drill down to different sections. And everything looks polished, and yes, it worked perfectly. Thank you for watching. Today, we finalized our dashboard. It tells a clear story, it looks visually appealing, and it's ready to be presented to stakeholders with confidence. This final product is the result of a full journey through the analytics process. Throughout the entire series, you've learned how to collect and transform messy data using Power Query, model and analyze data with advanced technique using Power Pivot and DAX. In this step, we've helped business to uncover important insights. And finally, we visualize and present our findings through effective storytelling. This helps the business go from insight to action with clear message. Remember, these techniques aren't just for this project. They are skills that you can learn on your day-to-day work. Try to apply this approach in your own work and let me know in the comment how it worked out for you. I'd love to hear your story. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and picked up something useful. Smash the like button if you did, and feel free to share it with your colleagues or friends who might think this is useful. Subscribe for more hands-on tutorial just like this one. And don't be shy to drop a comment if you have questions or just want to say hi. See you in the next videos.